Today's sponsors Loot Crate. For less than $20 a month, Loot Crate gives the geek in you a special treat every month. Loot Crate's a subscription box service with $40 worth of geek, gamer, and pop culture gear, collectibles, apparel, comics, and more delivered to your mailbox every month. This month, they're bringing you a fight for the ages. Suit up, choose your allies, and enter the arena for combat. They're ready to stand their ground this month with exclusive items from Blizzard, Fallout 4, Capcom, sponsor-worthy loot from the Hunger Games, as well as a few more items that will help their winners emerge victorious. You have until the 19th at 9 p.m. Pacific to subscribe and receive that month's crate. And when the cutoff happens, that's it. It's over, Jack. So go to lootcrate.com/KFGames and enter code KFGames to save $3 on your new subscription today. Final topic of the day, as always, brought to you by the Kind of Funny forums. Go over to kindoffunny.com/Gamescast topic. Submit your topic for the show, just like Innocence did. Hey guys, this might be quick, but oh, what the hell. My topic suggestion is Valve and Half-Life 3. Will they ever release it? It may seem obvious to some, but in reality, Valve doesn't have to. Thank you, and keep up the great work.
I think they will, but I agree that they won't have to. And I've said it before. I always love Charles Laniette's idea of that they'll just release it when it's done. They won't even announce
no
it.
lead up, no nothing. Just
They'll
here
just
it is.
put it up.
It's
And I would love if they did it where they didn't even say anything. Like they just uploaded. There's nothing ever said.
I mean,
they
that
didn't
would
respond
be
to emails.
one of the most epic things in humanity's history.
Now,
Half-Life 3 just fucking came out.
Now, to the credit of his part of this question, where it's like they don't have to. It's true they don't have to, and in fact, they have more to lose by doing it than gain. Because the fact remains that Half-Life is a really beloved franchise, but it is not Grand Theft Auto or something, like where there's not a financial imperative for them to do this. They might hurt themselves, not financially because they have so much money from Steam, but they might hurt the creative. Like if Half-Life 3 isn't good or not as good as people expect it, then they might hurt themselves.
If it isn't fucking life-changing, fantastic, and that's the problem. It's Duke Nukem Forever. It's The Last Guardian. It's been cooking for so long, and
well, it's more than those, I think.
Sure, but I mean to give you a touchstone of like it's been going for so long. Expectation and hype is to such a fever pitch without anything. You can't do it. It can't come out and not be amazing.
Yeah, so I think that's definitely the problem. Yeah, for them is. I don't know. It's the same. It's what I said about The Last Guardian. Would have. I don't know in what state of readiness it was on PS3 when Clements played it a long time ago when he went to see NGP in Tokyo. So this was in 2010, maybe 2011. I don't know like what state it was in at that point. But would Sony have gained more financially and critically if they just released a 6.0 than release this game now that cannot, no matter how good it is, will never live up to the hype? Like The Last Guardian has to be one of the best games of all time to live up to the hype that it's behind it. And I think that's one of the problems of they must see something in the game. They've dumped a lot of money into it. It's going to sell well, but if I were there, I would have definitely considered canceling it. So I'm sure they did consider that. So it's a similar conundrum where the game, no matter how good Half-Life 3 is, it's not going to be as good as people want it to be, which is a credit to Half-Life 2, but also a problem for a company like Valve that has no financial imperative to make a game ever again. And, they can just make their money passively on Steam and be fine. So.
Do you think we'll see it before 2020?
Yeah, I do.
Half-Life 3 before 2020?
I think it's in development right now. I think it has been for several years.
Yeah, why not?
If it's not before 2020, they might as well not even release it.
Yeah.
Because at that point, it's been 13 or 14 years or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, why even bother at that point?
Yeah.
They're almost at the point where it's like, why even bother now?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it pretty much is at that point. Like in terms of at least, getting new people on or whatever. It's just don't do it or do it. Cool. Borden says, how much do you guys think streaming support or the lack of could tip the scales of VR reality really catching on?
Streaming games or stream movies?
I think what he's talking about is there's no way to stream VR like with Twitch and YouTube and all that stuff.
But that's the thing. Now hold on, isn't there? The whole the PlayStation VR's thing is that you can have it displayed on a TV while you play it, and it isn't. I mean, it is Oculus, right? When you look at an Oculus thing, it's the thing where it's got the two windows, right? That are like in your life covered up and to make one giant thing, but there it looks all fucked up. PlayStation says that it's going to be that. So if it's like that, then I mean, what you wouldn't be able to read the chat, but you'd be able to have it on and talk, and then have if I'm playing a game and Colin's next to me, he can watch what's happening, read the chat, be part of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the whole Twitch is definitely a benefit to games, but I don't think it's like a game changer. I don't think it's going to like screw everything. But VR stuff, I think Twitch does help for specific types of games. I think VR experiences or games that we see might be those games.
That's a great point. I had not actually thought about what it's going to be like with VR on Twitch. And like we always talk about trying to overcome people's ignorance of it. How do you get people to do it? You have to understand. You have to be using it to understand it. But if you can do it where you're on green and you're moving your head and it's moving with you. Granted, it's another huge fucking. Let's see how latent it is, and let's see if there's any lag or anything like that. But that could be actually a really interesting way to showcase those games.
Mm-hmm. Billwood Marbles says, "Hey guys,
Marbles.
My question is regarding local multiplayer. My love for video gaming stems from the memories I have my friends and I sitting on the TV playing split screen GoldenEye, Mario Kart, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Still today, the majority of my gaming takes place over split screen Rocket League or party games such as Fibbage. You guys know what Fibbage is?
Yeah, Fibbage is awesome.
Don't know what Fibbage is.
It's like a little game show game you're playing there.
It's a game where like it'll ask you a question, then you have to make a fake answer to the question, then the people have to pick which answer they think is real.
We should play that.
It's a great game.
That sounds good.
I last played it on Xbox One with our friend Nate.
However, it's becoming increasingly difficult to find games that offer local multiplayer outside of the Wii U. And the exclusion of split screen and Halo Guardians increases my concerns. What are your thoughts on this? And do you feel as though local multiplayer is on its way out completely? I mean, I feel... Yeah, it's like it's already out, but there will always be people that like Rocket League is a perfect example of they understand the importance of that, and that's what that game was designed to do.
Right.
So
I feel like since I've been in the industry, it's been on its way out. Mm-hmm. That's all you ever. I mean, it's just that as the machines get more and more powerful, the harder and harder it is to do this, to render the game twice, to make it look as good, to deliver the experience you want.
Well, and in addition to that, with online going from this like kind of niche thing that's just kind of a gimmick to being the way people play games, split screen is on its way out. I remember when the first time that I was upset by a game not having split screen was Counter-Strike on the Xbox.
Yeah,
it came and I was just like, well, I'm fucked. I love playing Halo split screen, but I'm not going to fucking play this shit online. I just want to play with my friends, and I couldn't. So that stopped me from playing that game entirely. And now with Halo 5, I mean, it sucks. Like, it is definitely, like, when my friend's birthday comes up around Thanksgiving, we're playing all weekend. We're not going to be playing Halo 5 because it's not split screen. We'll play Master Chief Collection just for fun, so.
I mean, they're technical limitations. I mean, people have to remember that it's really hard to make a game run twice or 4 times these days because they're so intense. These games are so intensive and they push the units so hard. But people also have to remember that in the day and age of connected video games, even if you're playing single player, like on PlayStation Network, developers and publishers are collecting data about the way you play games, and they have heat maps of the way where you go in maps. They're like all sorts of things, very minute, depending on the way they've calibrated their game, to be able to see like, do people like this weapon? Does anyone go in this corner on this fucking map at all? Does anyone find this collectible? Like, they know, they have very detailed statistics, and I'm telling you that they looked at their stats and they're like, no one cares about couch co-op. Like they if it was important if they looked at Halo and they're like, this is actually important to lots of Halo gamers, then it would be in there. They would have figured it out, but they don't do that because they know that it's not important anymore. Right. So like the people
even in addition to that though, it's not necessarily that it's not important to a lot of people. It's just the fact that like they also want to control the narrative. They want more people playing online. So by not having the split screen,
why do they care if the people play online though? Like why does the developer care like how you play the game? If they looked at Halo and were like 90% of people play Halo couch co-op, like they're not going to cut it out. They probably looked at it and they're like less than 5% of the people that buy Halo play couch co-op. So why would we even bother? Like Microsoft and Sony have every intention of making you play online, so you pay $60 a year for that. But the publishers, I don't think. In fact, it's cheaper for the developers for you not to play the game online. So I don't agree with that. I think that they're looking at very detailed statistics on everyone that's putting these games into their machines and finding out that this is not important. Like, it might be important to some of the people that write into this or people on. Something's important to everyone. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, something missing out of a game is going to be important to literally every single person, but they have to make choices.
Remember, it goes both ways. I always tell a story, right, that, they went out of their way, the Lego guys, to make sure that Lego Star Wars, when it came to 360, right, and I'm getting all this right, when it made the jump or whatever at the time, and they put out the one collected edition of all of them, they put online in there for like the first time ever in Lego, and no one fucking used it. And so no Lego game again has ever had online co-op, because it's just, well, why put money into servers, this, that, and the other to do it? It's the same thing. And that's what you're talking about. Like, I think the places he's referencing, he's talking about Rocket League, we've talked about games like Chariot, these indie games that are easier to play games together with couch co-op, Diablo, right? Like, those are developers saying, it's not only important if you're starting from not scratch, I guess, but if you're starting from a game where you're gonna get big like Rocket League, your game works that way, and it works well that way. It's fun to play those games that way. You know what I mean? Like that's the whole thing. That's the funny thing is I love local co-op. Like I love playing with Christine, and I hate split screen. So just suck it up and get another TV and put them side by side. Admit you're a nerd.
Get another TV,
so many other people
and another
do
Xbox, and another copy of Halo.
You should have all those things already if you're a true fan.
No, I mean I understand where he's coming from. It sucks if people are into those things. It's just that like that's a dying way to play games. It's just not. It's not going to be that way anymore. There's always going to be local co-op games. But you talk about Chariot or something like that. Like this is a very easy to render side scroller that even if you play it co-op, like it's just another sprite on the screen. It's not
That's
even.
why
It's
I
not
said
even
the
like
indie games because so many of them are like that. Yeah.
And Rocket League's just rendering a soccer field 4 times. So it's not like it's you know, it's
not Halo.
It's not. It's just like running Halo 5 is probably really complicated to run it twice.
But
if you want to like
Halo not having split screen co-op is not Halo. You know, but
sure, but you have to ask yourself if like 343 and back in the day Bungie were looking at statistics and realizing that these things were going to die like that. Like they're keeping these in to placate a certain amount of people. And when you're making a game, you know, when you're a producer of a game, you have producers live in spreadsheets. They live in fucking, you know, calendars, and like they have resources that need to be allocated to these certain things that need to be hit at these certain checkpoints. And if you really see that, like, and I don't know the numbers, but if you see 5% of the people that play Halo 4 use couch co-op, then it's like, no, we're cutting it. There's no reason to have that in the game anymore because we're only going to annoy 1 in 20 people that play the game.
Mm-hmm.
And we might even sell more copies. Like that, there's also a financial imperative too.
Sure.
So you're really actually, if you assume 5% of the people that put the game into the system are playing, you know, couch co-op, then that you're actually affecting 2.5% of the people that actually bought your game. So it's like, so the numbers are even smaller. So I don't know. I'm just assuming that they're looking at shit like just like any developer does, just like they did with Lego, where they were like, well, why would we put online in this? I think it makes sense. It's the same reason I think why when they released the Uncharted collection on PS4, they were like, yeah, Uncharted is popular online, and Bluepoint can probably manipulate these and put the servers up and stuff like that. But why? Like X amount of people played it.
Yeah.
You know, you don't play Uncharted to play online.
Mm-hmm. George Love says, hello, lads. I was wondering what location and time period you'd like to see used in an open world game. Is there any city or country or a particular point in history that you would think would be particularly interesting to explore, and what aspects of that time and or place would you like to see included? I thought this one was really interesting for you. I
mean, the reason I wanted to play Assassin's Creed 3 so badly was because of its like the setting and the time period were fucking perfect, and the way it looked was just so good. It's just that it was an Assassin's Creed game, so it wasn't fun. You know, that's a problem. So I always wanted a turn-based, almost cartoonish economic and strategy game based in the Revolution. So like a Final Fantasy Tactics style game in the American Revolution, I think would be fucking awesome. But I mean, I even had like ideas and little designs drawn down about it being a 3D, or it was back in the day, a DS game. But that would be like, I just like that time period. I don't think it's off. See, we don't explore complicated time periods like that in traditional genres like shooters, because you can't play a shooter in Revolutionary War because even the best Minuteman needed 45 seconds to fucking load his musket and shoot it. So that's not fun. World War I isn't really fun to explore in that because it's fucking trench warfare, and the front line moved like 12 miles in 5 years. I mean, who cares? You know, we need to figure out new and clever genres and new ways to attack these different things. And I think Assassin's Creed was the one that could have done it the best, but they just, Kirk Hamilton at Kotaku wrote a great story last week about Assassin's Creed, where his basic line was like, why isn't this fun? Like in terms of like, why, like when are they going to get that the game doesn't control right? When are they going to figure that out?
When it stops selling.
Well, I think this might be the year, so it's
number one downloaded PlayStation game for October.
I mean, we'll see, I think that this is a matter of buzz versus sales versus economic reality again, but it was nice to see someone else echo what I've been saying for years about that series, which was like, it's just not, everything about it's so great. So why can't it play like it looks? Like why can't it play like Infamous?
I've always wanted to see an open world thing in San Francisco, specifically because I'm from here and I'm very familiar with the
Driver
location.
San Francisco.
No. So here's the thing. There's been a ton of maps and levels and experiences that have been in SF, but none of them have ever really matched where I want them to be. There's been levels in Tony Hawk that I feel like got closer than any, like San Andreas had San Francisco, but it didn't feel right. And also that was last gen.
Yeah.
So it just, wasn't up to speed. for what GTA 5 did for LA. I would love to see that for San Francisco, and actually have the districts and see how it all works together and stuff. And what I would really like gameplay wise, so Mark Echo's Getting Up. I don't know if you guys are familiar. It was a graffiti game on the PS2. Great game. Excellent game. Chance of a sequel? No way in fucking hell. I asked Mark Echo himself.
Nice job.
And he said no. But it was a really fun game. It was about graffiti and it was about all this stuff. And I think an open world graffiti game in San Francisco would be really cool because there's such a crazy graffiti subculture in the city. And just once you start knowing about it, like looking up and seeing all the buildings and seeing different graffiti pieces and being like, how the fuck they get up there? And like, if there was like a online thing where there's a lot of different people playing and like having different crews and shit, like trying to take over the city, I think it'd be fucking awesome. What about you, Greg?
I got nothing.
Okay.
Go to Chicago. Not enough games in Chicago. Watch Dogs was close, but it wasn't enough. Get real
Tom
Wrigley
Hawkins,
in there, not this fake Wrigley ass bullshit.
Tom Hawkins says, hey guys, if you could pick any Fallout perk to have in real life, what would it be?
The one that gave me more money every time I looked into a bin.
Yeah, that's a really good one. The one, barter, get better prices on everything. All the boring ones. I don't want to actually kill people.
Seabass6978 says, hey guys, longtime viewer, first time poster. I'm curious on your thoughts on video game addiction. Do you think it's a real condition? If so, would you consider yourselves game addicts? This came to mind because I recently had a fight with my girlfriend about my obsession with video games. Keep creating some of the best content on the internet. Best friend for life.
See, obsession's a better way to put it. Addiction's a real thing. It's a disease. I think you can be addicted to anything. So none of us at this table are addicted to video games.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a real life-altering injury, that fucks up everything, being addicted to something. Obsessed, I think, is a better way. We get obsessed with games all the time.
I mean, video game addiction is a thing, and I've seen people get addicted to video games, and I've seen it affect their lives poorly. Being obsessed also affects your life, but like I think that the addiction level is when a professional needs to step in. You're letting your health get in the way. Yeah. You're fucking up your relationships. Like, and I have a very close friend that like for a couple years was on a bad fucking path because of video games. Yeah. And I'm happy that that's no longer the case.
Sure.
Yeah, you can be addicted to anything. I mean, you can be addicted to relationships. You can be addicted to obviously drugs and alcohol. You can be addicted to whatever, but you can be addicted to sex. You can literally be addicted to food. You can be addicted to anything. So yeah, you can be addicted to games, of course. I never consider myself addicted to games. I've definitely had obsessive periods with them. My concern, I mean, the last game I obsessively played that came out was Mega Man 10. That was like the last game where I'm like, everyone just shut the fuck up and go away. I don't care what anyone's saying. I don't care about you. I'm gonna play this game now. And that was really the last time I ever like had a breakdown moment in my life where I'm like, this just has to be this way.
I would give so much to be able to just go back and see your reaction when Mega Man 9 was announced.
Yeah, I ran around the IGN office. I couldn't believe it. But my concern now is that do I play games enough, to satiate myself? I play games all the time, but I'm like, I wish I had more time to play them. I wish I had more of a drive to play more. But I don't. See, I was talking to someone recently about like I have so many interests that I'm trying to balance, that I'm trying to fit in more that has nothing to do with games. Like I still really want to rekindle my, playing hockey again and I want to join a chess club and do all these other things, like things that I really love and like really, really love. And so you have to start cutting things out. And so then you realize that like video games are one of those expendable things in your life that you have to, or at least I feel that way, where if I can play 10 hours or I can play 5 hours and fit in 5 hours of other stuff, I'd probably rather fit 5 hours of other stuff in. So it's all about balance. It's okay to be it's okay to have a little addiction or an obsession with a game or games or whatever. You just have to find that balance, but that's different for different people. There was a really fascinating NeoGaf thread I read some time ago, like a couple months ago, where people were like, how often do you play video games? The question was like, how many hours a week do you play games? And I read like the whole thing. It was fascinating because it was like, it spanned literally anywhere from like, I don't play video games because I have a kid and fucking wife.
Fucked up my life.
Or I have a job, or I just don't care anymore, and then all the way to like 50 hours a week.
Yeah.
And like everyone in between. And it seemed like, and it made me feel good because NeoGaf obviously attracts like hardcore, dedicated game enthusiasts. And it seemed like the average was like 5 to 10 hours a week. And I was like, cool. Because
I'm okay.
I play more than that. And I feel like I'm not playing enough. So
Sure.
Final question of the day comes from Sweet Action 1981. He says, hey guys, what do you think of the Warcraft trailer? And does it give you any hope for the future of video game movies? I personally really liked it, and even more like the fact that they kept the CGI for the orcs extremely close to that of the game cinematics. I'm always hesitant to be excited for any video game movie announced, but this seems pretty good and gives me hope for future game movies. Did you guys see the trailer?
Yeah, I did. Thought it was fine. Like, I mean, like the problem is jumping back to a topic earlier, right? Like, I'm just not the high fantasy guy, so like I will not see that movie. Like, I thought just at a glance the CG didn't look that great.
Yep.
But I thought the world and the way they were acting was like, oh, this is like a legit movie at least. This is, you know what I mean?
For me, I'm not a Warcraft guy at all. Don't really know about the world.
There's worlds of it.
Yeah. Don't know much about it. I know basic shit. And I know enough to watch the trailer and be like, okay, cool. Like this checks out on a back of the fucking game summary. But like, and the reaction to it that I've read seems mixed, but not as bad as it could be.
Sure.
But I mean, from just a pure movie standpoint, this shit doesn't look good. Doesn't look good at all. The CG looks bad. And like everyone was saying that the CG in the game trailer for Legion that they showed looks way better. And it does. It looks way better.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. I don't think that this is going to be the huge hit that a Warcraft movie could have been at a different time. I think people's expectations for these type of movies has changed, and the ship has sailed for this movie to hit that audience. Like I think this would have been an amazing 2008 movie.
But do you think it hits a wider audience outside of it? Is this a movie that kids in high school are going to go out to see on Friday and have no idea that it's based on a video game or whatever?
I think that it is exactly that movie, but it's not going to be that movie that those kids then tell their friends to watch.
Gotcha.
Which I think in 2008 it could have been.
Okay.
But now that we have, Iron Man and everything, every fucking 3 months, there's some movie of things that people actually care about.
You have to go see.
Cool to care about.
Gotcha.
Then it's like, this is just like, oh, this is based off a video game. Like people want to, like non-comic readers, non-nerds want to go into superhero movies, watch it and pretend they know more about superheroes than anyone else because it's cool. Superheroes are cool. So, in the comics, this happened.
Yeah,
it's like, you never read a fucking comic in your life. This, I don't think it's going to have that same thing of, in the game, this happens.
We should go there and say stuff, though. In the game, there's pandas, and they're in the mist, and they fight
if the fucking
things.
pandas aren't in the mist, I'm pissed.
Yeah.
You have any thoughts on this? Did you even watch it?
Yeah, we watched it, I think, in Colin and Greg Live. I barely paid attention to it. I mean, that movie has bomb written all over it, I think, but who knows? I mean, that series certainly has a lot of resonance with a lot of people over a long period of time. And different kinds of gamers too, World of Warcraft and then just Warcraft. So
yeah,
it'll certainly draw people in, but I don't understand this drive to make video games into movies. I just don't get it. Like why? Like it's the same reason we talked about the Last of Us movie, where it's like I don't want that at all. It's okay for things to be games. It doesn't mean that they're less legitimate. Making a movie out of something doesn't legitimize it. I don't know how many times we have to see these movies come out before we realize that this is maybe more destructive to games than helpful.
You hope our industry's waking up to that they don't have to chase that. It seems like it's slowing down, but then there are like Uncharted pops up or whatever. That was the argument I was having at IGN at the end there, was just the fact that people are like, what's the first video game movie that's going to matter? And I kept saying Last of Us, and people would say Warcraft. I'm like, maybe, I guess, sure, but like Last of Us at least has Neil Druckmann in it. You would say Crazy Taxi?
Yeah.
Okay.
When's that fucking movie coming?
I hope it's just not. If it does come, I hope it is just 90 minutes of just driving. It's just driving around, picking people. Take me to Pizza Hut.
Taking a priest to Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, that topic brought to you by DraftKings. Football season marches on, and while your season-long fantasy team might be going nowhere fast, every week is a new shot for glory at DraftKings.com. DraftKings is the destination for one-week fantasy football, where you can relive the fantasy draft and play for huge prizes each and every week. Challenge your friends in a custom league, or join an existing one to play for your share of the $1 billion in prizes up for grabs this year. This isn't fantasy as usual. This is DraftKings. Welcome to the big times. Hurry to DraftKings.com now. Use promo code KINDOFFUNNY to play for free with your first deposit in Sunday's $1 million fantasy football contest. First place takes home $100,000 and a lifetime of bragging rights. Enter Kinda Funny for free entry now only at DraftKings.com. That's DraftKings.com. Thank you guys very much for joining.
Thank you.
Greg, you can go get back to Fallout now.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I do have like 40 minutes before we have to do this
yeah.
Q&A.
So you're stoked, and I know. Thank you all for joining us. Again, thank you all for supporting us on Patreon. You're beautiful people that do beautiful things. We'll see you next week.